I wanted to say it was fantastic to see so many of you on Friday and hug your necks, and I just miss you so much. So that was so good for my heart. I wanted to give a shout out to all the students in the 4th grade who completed the math challenge. And if you haven't completed it already, it's on lesson 10.1. And if you watch the video and then follow the directions that I give you during the video, then if you do that before May 13th, then I will have a surprise for you on your last packet drop-off day, which is May 14th. So these are the people that completed the math challenge: Caitlin G, Lily, Jalen, Allie, Olivia, Peyton W, Alex, Reese, Kylie, Elijah, Kiana, Kristen, Ryan, Jackson, Aubrey, Caitlin T, Torin, Lacey, Millie, and Jenna. I think I got everybody. So way to go, guys. That's 20 students. That's a third of the 4th grade that completed the math challenge. So way to go. I'm so proud of you. Okay, so today we're going to look at classifying quadrilaterals. Okay, it's lesson 10.4. So you need to turn in your book to page 567. And I've written on the board behind me the quadrilaterals that we're going to be looking at today: a trapezoid, a parallelogram, a rhombus, a rectangle, and a square. So first, what is a quadrilateral? Well, a quadrilateral is a polygon, a closed figure, with 4 sides and 4 angles. You can name a quadrilateral by the vertices of its angles. So remember how we talked about before that a vertices or vertex is where 2 line segments or rays meet, and when you have more than one vertex point, they call them vertices. So again, a quadrilateral is a polygon with 4 sides and 4 angles. You can name a quadrilateral by the vertices of its angles. Quadrilateral ABCD is a possible name for the figure shown to the right. Quadrilateral ACBD is not a possible name since A and C are not endpoints of the same side. So what this is meaning, guys, is you have to, so let me draw this figure real quick. I'm just going to draw a rough version of this figure, and I'll show you. So we've got up here at the top, we've got B, then C, then A, then D. And they have, if you'll notice, they have these little marks, kind of like tally marks on the sides, and that shows that the side that has the same number of little tally marks means it's the same length. So the top line or line segment and the bottom line segment are the same length, since they have 2 of these little lines, and then this line segment and this line segment are the same length because they have just 1. So it doesn't matter really how many of the little tally marks you have. It's just, all it's doing is showing you that the other line segment is the same length if it has the same number of little tally marks. So we could even go 3 here and 3 here, and that would show that these 2 are the same length. Okay, back to naming. So one possible name is ABCD. A, B, C, D. And then it says quadrilateral ACBD is not a possible name because it doesn't follow the line segments. So we don't have a line that goes directly from A to C. So we couldn't name this A, C, B, D because that doesn't follow the lines. You have to make your way around the figure in order for that name to work. So we could name this quadrilateral. It could be A, B, C, D. It could be B, C, D, A. It could be C, D, A, B, D, A, B, C. Or you could go the other way, starting with the A and going A, D, C, B. Or B, A, D, C. Or C, B, A, D. Or D, C, B, A. What you can't do is use letters that aren't connected to each other directly. Okay, so, and I'm gonna try to make this video shorter. I know that the last few videos have been kind of long, and I apologize for that. It's just kind of difficult to explain this stuff without you guys here with me, so bear with me. Okay. It says here the tick marks on the line segment show they have the same length. We talked about that. Sides AD and BC have the same length, and sides AB and CD have the same length. Assume that line segments that appear to be parallel are parallel. Okay? So let's get started. These are our common quadrilaterals. So we have a trapezoid, and the definition or rules for a trapezoid are that there's at least one pair of parallel sides. Now in this trapezoid's case, the top and the bottom are parallel. So that's how we know that's a trapezoid. A parallelogram has two pairs of parallel sides and two pairs of equal length sides. So this line segment is the same length as this one, and they're also parallel. And this line segment and this line segment are parallel and are the same side length. The little tick marks show us that. Now a parallelogram, really how I kind of remember it, is if you have a rectangle and you kind of just push the top a little bit. So it just kind of leans a little bit. A rhombus is like a square that you've pushed over just a little bit. So we have, for a rhombus, we have two pairs of parallel sides. So the top and the bottom are parallel, and the two sides are parallel. And then four sides of equal length, like a square. So really, the parallelogram and rectangle are kind of related in that a parallelogram is kind of a rectangle pushed sideways, and a rhombus and a square are related in that they have the four sides that are the same length, but the rhombus has just been pushed over a little bit. So with the rectangle and the square, both of those have four right angles, or four 90-degree angles, where the rhombus and parallelogram don't have any right angles, okay? Because when you push it over just a little bit, it knocks off those right angles and makes them no longer right angles. Okay, so a rectangle, two pairs of parallel sides, two pairs of equal length sides, and four right angles, and then a square, two pairs of parallel sides, four sides of equal length, and four right angles. Okay, so they want us to do some coloring here, and if you picked up your supplies, you probably have some crayons or colored pencils now, but just to save time a little bit, instead of coloring, I'm going to write red, blue, or orange. So R for red. Okay, so we're looking for now we're gonna write R for red in every one of these that has exactly 4 right angles. So in this first one, I see 4 right angles because it's got the little square corners and it's got 4 of those. And that is the only one that has 4 right angles. So the only red one will be your first one. Then we have blue. It has exactly 2 right angles. So this guy is going to be blue. I see that that one has 2 right angles. And then we're going to color orange exactly 1 right angle. So if it has 1 right angle, it's going to be orange. The rest of them we don't color in. So one of each of those. Okay, so if we look at the one that we colored red, or wrote the R for red in, you can see that it has 4 right angles. So that means that it could be either a rectangle or a square. Those are the only 2 quadrilaterals that have 4 right angles. And then if I look and I see that the top 2 are the same length and the side 2 are the same length, that would mean it's a rectangle because it has 2 pairs of equal length sides. 2 pairs, like a pair of shoes, okay? So this guy would be a rectangle. This one a parallelogram because it looks like a rectangle that's been pushed over just a little bit. And it has the 2 side lengths, or the 2 pair of parallel sides and the 2 pairs of equal length sides. This guy would be a trapezoid because it has at least 1 pair of parallel sides. This guy would be none of these because it doesn't follow our guidelines for any of the quadrilaterals we're learning about. It is a quadrilateral though because it has 4 sides and 4 angles, but it is not any of these quadrilaterals. And then we have what looks to be a square that's been pushed over a little bit, so that would be a rhombus. And then this one would also be a trapezoid. Now it doesn't look like this trapezoid, but I see that it does have at least 1 pair of parallel sides. So it would be considered a trapezoid. And then the last one has, it looks like only 1 right angle. So it would not be any of, I don't see any parallel sides. I don't see any sides of equal length. So it would be like this guy. It would just be a quadrilateral. Okay. It wants to know, can a quadrilateral have exactly 3 right angles? Explain. So, let's see. If we drew a quadrilateral with 3 right angles, it would have to have 4 right angles. So I've got 3 right angles here because a quadrilateral is a closed shape made up of 4 lines and 4 angles. So it is not possible for a quadrilateral to have exactly 3 right angles because if it has 3, it's going to have 4. Okay. So, okay. Use a Venn diagram to sort quadrilaterals. Write the name of the quadrilaterals in the Venn diagram. So, let's see here. All right, I hope you guys can see that okay. I know I had to make it smaller. So let's start with quadrilateral FGHE, and I see that it does have parallel sides. So I'm starting with this guy up here. So this box has no parallel sides, at least 1 pair of parallel sides, and 2 pairs of parallel sides. So the first one has 2 pair of parallel sides. If I look and see, whoops. So line segment FE and GH is parallel to FG and EH. I hope I said that right. Okay. So it has at least 1 pair of parallel sides and 2 pair of parallel sides, so it's going to fall right in the middle here. So I'm going to abbreviate the word quadrilateral. Let's see how they did this on here. As quad, and then, make this a little bigger so I can fit it. FGHE. FGHE. Let me see if I can do that better. Let's do this. Let's just write a Q for quadrilateral and then a little period after it so we know it's an abbreviation. So let's write Q for quadrilateral, or let's do a colon. F G H E. F G H E. Okay? So that first one would go in those 2 boxes. Next we have BC, or let's call this one ABCD just to make it easier. And it has 2 pair of parallel sides. It has at least 1, and then it does have 2. So it will go right here also, quadrilateral A, B, C, D. And then the next one, let's see here. So it does not have any parallel sides because this side and this side would eventually cross. And this side, since they're kind of going at an angle, would eventually cross. So let's do, say, no pair of parallel sides. And that would be Q or PQRS. So no parallel sides would be quadrilateral PQRS. Okay, you guys with me? All right. The next one is this guy right here. Let me make sure you guys can see it. And it is JKLM, and it has 1 pair of parallel sides only. So it's going to go right here in the yellow, quadrilateral JKLM, because it has at least 1, but only 1. And then, let's see, TUVW has 1 pair of parallel sides only because it's a trapezoid. So quadrilateral TUVW. And then the last one has no parallel sides. So it is quadrilateral QRNZ. Okay, you guys get all of those? Okay, so we've got 2 in each box, or 2 in each section. None of, so we can't have any that are just under 2 pair of parallel sides, because if they have 2, they also have at least 1, okay? So that's the reason for that, okay. So these are always a little bit challenging for me because I want to make sure that I get every possible label in there. So it says, try this, classify each figure as many ways as possible. Write quadrilateral, trapezoid, parallelogram, rhombus, rectangular, square. So let me make this a little bit bigger. And we are going to start with A and ask ourselves, is this a quadrilateral? Is it a four-sided figure made up of 4 lines and 4 angles? Yes. So I'm going to change the color to purple, my favorite. And on this top line, look at that, oh wow. Quadrilateral. And while we're classifying quadrilaterals, let's just go and look. Is this a quadrilateral? Does it have 4 sides and 4 angles? Yes. And this one also has 4 sides and 4 angles. So all 3 of these are quadrilaterals. Okay. And then the next thing we're going to check for are trapezoids. Now, trapezoids, if we look back at our definition, has at least 1 pair of parallel sides. Does this guy have at least 1 pair of parallel sides? Yes, because it actually has 2. The 2 sides are parallel and the top and bottom are parallel. So this guy is a trapezoid also. Okay, if we look at B, does that guy have at least 1 pair of parallel sides? Yes, it does. This line segment and this line segment. So that would also be a trapezoid. And then on C, does C have at least 1 pair of parallel sides? Yes, it does. So C is a trapezoid too. That's what gets me confused, because when I think of trapezoid, I think of this guy, okay? But technically, as long as it has at least 1 pair of parallel sides, it is a trapezoid. So, C is also a trapezoid. I remember when I first started grading these, or teaching this years ago, and I saw that students were writing down trapezoid. I was so confused. And then I realized, technically it is a trapezoid. Okay, so now we have done quadrilaterals, we've done trapezoids, and now we're going to go to parallelograms. Parallelograms have 2 pairs of parallel sides and 2 pairs of sides that are equal length. So, does this have 2 pairs of parallel sides? Yes, it does. Does it have 2 pairs of sides that are the equal length? Yes, it does. So this letter A is a parallelogram. Okay. On B, does B have 2 pairs of parallel sides? No, it doesn't, because the side lengths that are the same, or the sides that are the same length, would eventually cross later on, so that those are not parallel. Does C have 2 pairs of parallel sides? Yes, it does. Does it have 2 pairs of equal length sides? And it does. This side is the same as this, and this is the same as this. That's the tricky part. So yes, they are all 4 the same length, but in that case it also has the top and bottom are the same length and the 2 sides. So C is also a parallelogram. Here's what you have to remember when you're classifying quadrilaterals, you just look at the guidelines for each quadrilateral and then look at the shape and say, does this meet the requirements? If it does, even if it's not something that you normally think of as a parallelogram, if it meets those requirements, it is one. We may refer to it as a square, and but it can also be more than one thing. Just like you can be a brother and a son, or a sister and a daughter, all at the same time. So quadrilaterals are the same. All right. Let's see what else. Okay. Next, we are going to. We've looked at parallelogram. Next, we're going to look at rhombus. So the guidelines for the rhombus is that it has two pairs of parallel sides and all four sides have to be the same length. So if we look up here, does this have two pair of parallel sides? Yes, it does, but the sides are not all the same length. So this is not a rhombus. Does this one have two pair of parallel sides? No, it doesn't. It just has one pair. So that one is not a rhombus. This guy has two pair of parallel sides, and it has four sides that are the same length. So our square is also a rhombus. Okay? And now we go on to rectangle or square. So for a rectangle, it has to have four right angles. So this guy is out and this guy is out. This guy has four right angles. And does this guy also have two pair of parallel sides? Yes. Does it have two pairs of equal length sides? Well, this is the same as this, and this is the same as this, so yes. So that guy is also a rectangle. And then the last one is a square, and just like the rectangle, the square has to have two or four right angles, only this guy does, and two pairs of parallel sides, which it does, four sides of equal length, which it does. So this guy is also a square. So we have three, so this example is considered a quadrilateral, a trapezoid, and a parallelogram. This guy is considered a quadrilateral and a trapezoid. And this guy is everything: a quadrilateral, a trapezoid, a parallelogram, a rhombus, a rectangle, and a square. Pretty crazy, huh? Okay. Tell whether the quadrilateral is also a trapezoid, parallelogram, rhombus, rectangle, or square. Okay, so let's look at this quadrilateral, ABCD, and think, how many pairs of parallel sides does it have? It has two pairs of parallel sides. How many sides are equal length? It has four sides of equal length. And then how many right angles? 0 right angles. Okay, so it wants to know if this quadrilateral is also a trapezoid. Does it have one pair of parallel sides? Yes, it does. So it is a trapezoid. So we're going to write trapezoid here. And then it wants to know, is this also a parallelogram? Okay, so a parallelogram has to have two pairs of parallel sides, which it does, and two pairs of equal length sides. Well, the top and the bottom are the same length, and so are the sides. So this guy is also a parallelogram. Okay, and then rhombus. It is definitely a rhombus because it has four sides of equal length and two pairs of parallel sides. That's the exact definition of a rhombus. So it is a rhombus. and because it has 0 right angles, it can be neither a rectangle or a square. So quadrilateral A, B, C, D is also a trapezoid, a parallelogram, and a rhombus. Okay. We're half done here. Okay, classify each figure as many ways as possible. So we're kind of doing the same thing we've been doing. Okay, so we've got this guy. He has 0 right angles, so he can't be a rectangle or a square. He does have 4 sides. So I kind of like the way we were doing it before, where we looked at each different classification and then matched up whether that figure was, or that quadrilateral fit those. So let's do that. So on number 2, it is a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides and 4 angles. So is number 3 and number 4. So the quadrilateral is kind of the most general definition or classification. Okay, so all of those are quadrilaterals. Now we're done with quadrilateral, then trapezoid. Does this guy have at least 1 pair of parallel sides? What do you think? Yes or no? Maybe so. No. No. This one does, and this one does. So 3 and 4 are also trapezoids. Okay. Parallelogram. 2 pairs of parallel sides and 2 pair of equal length sides. So not a parallelogram. It is a parallelogram because it's got 2 pair of parallel sides and 2 pairs of sides that are equal length. This one the same way. This side is the same as this, and this side's the same as this. So 3 and 4 are also parallelograms. Okay. And then we want to know about rhombus. The definition of a rhombus: 2 pairs of parallel sides, 4 sides that are the same length. Well, this guy's not a rhombus. This guy's not a rhombus because all 4 sides are not the same length. But this guy is a rhombus. Okay. And then rectangle, of course 3 is a rectangle. You guys can see that pretty clearly. And then, but no 90-degree angles on figure 2 or 4, so neither one is a rectangle. 2 and 4 are not a square either, and 3 is not a square because it doesn't have 4 sides that are the same length. Okay, so we have quadrilateral. This figure is a quadrilateral, trapezoid, parallelogram, and rectangle. This guy is a quadrilateral, trapezoid, parallelogram, rhombus. Okay. Wants to know how you would classify a figure with 4 sides, none of which are parallel. Well, we kind of did that just a second ago with this guy. We would classify him as a quadrilateral. He has 4 sides, but none of them are parallel. Okay, on your own, you guys have, it looks like just 3 figures to classify as many ways as you can. So go ahead and pause the video, and when you come back, you can see if you got all the classification. I remember I've got them here in the background, so even if you pause the screen, hopefully you can see what each of these are. Or if not, you can flip back to the first page. It's got all of this stuff written down. I just didn't want to be flipping back and forth as we went through this. So you may pause while I get a drink. I'm back. Okay. This guy is a quadrilateral. This guy is a quadrilateral. This guy is a quadrilateral. So, just to finish quicker, I'm just going to abbreviate as quad. And I am changing this to purple. It's going to work this time. I just know it. Yay, there it is. So this guy is a quad. This guy's a quad, and this guy's a quad, okay? So quadrilateral, we're done. Trapezoid, at least one pair of parallel sides. Parallel sides, yes. Parallel sides, yes. Parallel sides, yes. So all three of these guys are trapezoids. Okay, parallelogram. Two pairs of parallel sides and two pairs of sides of equal length. So, two pairs of parallel sides, absolutely the top and bottom are parallel and the two sides are parallel with each other. And opposite sides are equal length, so 5 is definitely a parallelogram. Okay. Number 6 has two pairs of parallel sides and opposite side lengths are the same. So it is also a parallelogram. But number 7 only has one pair of parallel sides, so it is not a parallelogram. Okay, moving on to rhombus. Okay, rhombus. Two pairs of parallel sides, four sides are the same length. This guy, number 5, has two pair of parallel sides, but all four sides are not the same length. This guy has two pair of parallel sides and four sides the same length, so this guy is a rhombus. And number 7 does not have two pair of parallel sides, so it is not a rhombus. Rectangles and squares both have to have 4 right angles or 4 90-degree angles. So the only option for a rectangle and square would be number 6. It is a square for sure because it has 4 90-degree angles and 4 sides that are the same length and 2 pair of parallel sides. It is also a rectangle because this side is the same length as this and this side is the same length as this. So number 6 is also a rectangle and a square. Okay, so number 5, you should have listed quadrilateral, trapezoid, and parallelogram, 3 classifications. Number 6, quadrilateral, trapezoid, parallelogram, rhombus, rectangle, and square, all 6 classifications. And then number 7, you should have 2 classifications. Let me just double check that we've got them all right here. And we do. Okay, so I know this is a little tricky. This is the last lesson that we're going to do in chapter 10. We're moving on next time to chapter 11, where we're going to start using a protractor to measure angles, and I'm going to teach you more about that. If you want to kind of play around with measuring angles with a protractor, there is a link on my website. If you go, instead of the math videos page, if you go to the links page and go to protractor game, you can kind of play around a little bit with the protractor game. But I will have the protractor or measuring angles video up before Tuesday. So I hope you guys are well. Love ya. Mwah.